Good evening, ladies. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for your company. You're watching the 6:30 Prime News on My Media Prime Live from Douala. My name is Genda Peldrin Blanche King. Today's edition of Prime News starts with the fight against urban disorder in the city of Douala. Inhabitants of Newtown Airport neighborhood in the Douala 2 municipality have experienced the second phase of a demolition exercise supervised by elements of forces of law and order, and as usual the forces of law and order met with stiff resistance from inhabitants. Nora Kakebi tells us more.
Frustration, pain, and despair are what the residents of the Newtown Airport neighborhood in Douala are left to deal with. They watched their homes being brought down to complete ruins in a demolition exercise carried out by the council authorities. The authorities justify that the entrance to the Douala International Airport must be cleared and decongested, especially as the country prepares to host the Africa Cup of Nations come January 2022. Some of the protesters who took to the streets to decry the act met with stiff resistance from the forces of law and order. The security officials fired tear gas and water cannons on the protesters, who say their houses cannot be destroyed in the twinkle of an eye. The pain of seeing their houses being brought down to ruins has only left them in total unhappiness. According to many critics, officials should have considered that both the Anglophone crisis and COVID-19 pandemic have hit hard on citizens, and many have sought refuge in different parts of the country to shelter themselves. It should be recalled that more than 100 families were forcefully evicted from their homes last January, which they have occupied for over 35 years. Mr. Jean-Baptiste Botsebe feels the people's plight and call on authorities to compensate them.
Les 5 blocs.
They have to evaluate their valuables. They have to be compensated justly for them to get out of the misery. We are talking about Cameroonians going into the streets. What will become of them?
Most of the inhabitants claim they were equally victims of the Lake Nyos disaster, which occurred in 1986, and they claim they were resettled by President Paul Biya.
3 individuals are currently under police custody for allegedly breaking into a magazine at the Douala Seaport, making away with several items. According to sources, this operation was carried out or took place over the weekend. Details with Fonquinta.
Huge consignment of goods reportedly stolen from a warehouse at Douala Seaport on Saturday, June 26, 2020. Reports say a group of robbers stamped a warehouse at the Douala Seaport, making away with several cartons of goods. The bandits, after a successful operation, reportedly transferred the huge consignment of goods to an old agency now serving as a car park at Bepanda Dubloba and the white minibus. The bus came here at the same time clients are taking their items out. A man walked up to me and said he has some goods to pack and collect later. I told him this place is not a magazine and he cannot pack the goods here. Informed of the burglary, security elements descended to the scene to track down those who broke into the warehouse. As a follow-up to that complaint, we immediately activated a network of informants with the collaboration of the security agents of the enterprise. According to Commissioner of Police, preliminary investigations led to the discovery of the goods at Bepanda Doubleba. Meanwhile, 3 persons are currently under custody.
Nous avons déjà réussi à interpeller 3 suspects. Donc,
we succeeded in tracking down 3 suspects, the proprietor of a store around Marché de Bleubar, and 2 others, a guard and an employee at the warehouse where the goods were stolen.
Suspect également, dont un gardien et un employé de cet entrepôt-là.
At Press R, investigations have continued in a bid to track down all those involved in the robbery act.
The Douala 5 Council has adopted its administrative accounts for the year 2020. Over 2 billion francs CFA is the amount adopted during the ordinary council session chaired by the SDO Fuvuri, Benjamin Mbutu. Lasha Kingsley compiled the following.
Douala 5 Council adopts its administrative accounts for the year 2020. The Ordinary Council session, which was dedicated to the adoption of the 2020 account, took place on Friday, June 25, 2021.
It's not a budgetary session. We are at an Ordinary Council session dedicated to the adoption of the Council's administrative account for the year 2020.
Over 2 billion francs CFA is the amount that was adopted. Here is the mayor of Douala 5 Council.
The amount adopted is over 2 billion, and it is the result of revenue collected and expenditure which makes us to have this amount.
Mayor Richard Fongwang also used the occasion to highlight priority projects in his municipality.
Some of the priority projects is to accompany the population in the domains of hygiene and sanitation, education, health, and not forgetting this very important aspect, which is to permit the population have good living conditions.
The council session was chaired by the Senior Divisional Officer for Wuri Division, Benjamin Mbutu.
Members of African Fact-Checking Fellows, AFF Cameroon, are currently running a campaign against fake news and hate speech with the hashtag #DefyHateNow. This move, according to them, is to completely eradicate slander, deceit, and hate in the country, which is currently a problem. Eileen Sama reports.
Hate speech and fake news, two destructive phenomena in today's contemporary society, also considered two sides of the same coin, are said to be interrelated to social media and modern-day conflicts in Cameroon. But for the common man, who knows little or nothing about what hate speech and fake news really are, Brenda Kiven, an African fact-checking fellow of the 4th batch, explains.
And we'll talk about fake news. Fake news is a news story, picture that is disinformative, something that is not true, that is being circulated on social media or even around the water. Fake news, which is something that is not true, is being circulated with an intention to hurt, an intention to harm the particular person that is targeted. So it is interrelated, especially in this context of social media, internet.
It is worth reiterating that hate speech and fake news triggers violence, which most often leads to conflict, like in Cameroon with the case of the ongoing Anglophone crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, which, however, can be fought against.
If you look at the current context where we have the Anglophone crisis, the COVID-19, fake news, hate speech has played a great role on the impact of the Anglophone crisis and even on the impact of the vaccination or the disease itself, COVID-19 that we have. Combating hate speech is understanding where somebody comes from, understanding some of the people's community, understanding people's what their meals, their traditions, their cultural.
The role of the African Fact-Checking Fellows Cameroon cannot be underestimated in the combat of hate speech and fake news.
That's why, as an African Fact-Checking Fellow, we are out there to help people, to tell people, to sensitize them, let them know that this thing is not good, it is harming somebody. If it were to reverse and it comes to you, you will not actually receive it the way you are sending it out. So you need to think before you click. You need to think before you share information, like information, even comment on the information.
Note should be taken here that hate speech and fake news are crimes punishable by the Penal Code of Cameroon, and if found guilty, the perpetrator may be sentenced to 6 months and up to 6 years in jail or pay millions of francs CFA. And for those who are not aware, be reminded that ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Thanks, Eileen Sama. Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services, in collaboration with Christian Blind Mission, a humanitarian organization, launched 2 projects in Bamenda, northwest region of the country, over the weekend: the Inclusive Humanitarian Response and the Inclusive Eye Health Care. The project that will run for 2 years will ensure that eye care services reach the vulnerable and underprivileged persons or individuals in the community or society, targeting especially persons living with a disability in the context of COVID-19. Charles Kebwa in the following report.
The Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services, June 26, 2021 in Bamenda, launched 2 new project initiatives: the Inclusive Humanitarian Response (IHR) and the Inclusive Eye Health (IEH) initiative, as part of her continuous contributions towards the welfare of persons with disability (PWDs) in Cameroon since 1980. In a press briefing prior to the launching, the director of the CBC Health Services, Professor T. Pius Mufi, answering questions, responds, the project will benefit those in the interior parts of the northwest region.
So that basic screening is normally done basically for everybody when they get into the community and they try to do the best they can.
The project, funded by Christian Blind Mission Germany through CBM Country Office Cameroon, to the tune of 400,000 euros, 262 million CFA, to be implemented by the Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services for the next 2 years, enable eye care providers in the Northwest integrate COVID-19 awareness in the future work and promote inclusive access to eye health in the region, which is a high risk to blindness.
We are able to come with a support of 400,000 euro to ensure that patients and caregivers are protected and highly equipped to continue providing eye care services to prevent blindness. Also, we are extending our emergency response in the crisis that we started in the Southwest in 2020 to the Northwest, with a program that is focused on persons with disabilities for the next 24 months to the tune of 1.4 million euro. That is about 980 million.
The project, with 3 components to bring assistance to internally displaced persons and their host communities, mainstream disability with other humanitarian actors, and support persons with disabilities for their voices and autonomy, advocate for every intervention to include them.
One of the things that we closely like in this project is the fact that persons with disabilities themselves will be part of the project. Secondly, it is taking into consideration the needs of persons with disabilities that have not been considered by other humanitarian actors.
As a response to the socio-political crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, with more communities becoming vulnerable, the project will be implemented in 12 health districts. Launching the 2 key projects in the region, the Secretary General at the Northwest Governor's Office, Yang Mekala, sitting in for the governor, praised the Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services, first in the provision of quality health care across the region, valuable contribution to government's vision of national health coverage, said with the objective to organize over 200 medical outreach campaigns to people in hard-to-reach and undeserved communities, is hopeful that the communities will feel the impact.
It is the end of the 2020-2021 academic year. Academic institutions are letting go of their pupils and students. St. Jerome Bilingual International School in Lendi, Douala 5 subdivision, graduated its first batch of pupils over the weekend. The graduation ceremony took place here in Douala in the presence of parents and staff of the institution. Lasha Kinsley tells us more.
These are Nursery 2 and Primary 6 pupils of St. Jerome Bilingual International School. The institution graduates its first batch of Nursery 2 and Primary 6 pupils.
Today we are celebrating the graduation and the prize award ceremony. We are very much grateful with the turnout of the parents and the activities. They all enjoy the activities. So we really have celebrated today success, excellence, and what we can take positively.
Meritorious pupils were awarded prizes by school authorities in a bid to encourage hard work and excellence.
There will be now a routine every end of year who award prizes to deserving students.
The graduation ceremony was equally animated by educative sketches, spelling test, cultural and traditional display. Also in attendance were stakeholders in the educational sector in the littoral region, parents and well-wishers.
St. Jerome International School was created on the 26th of September 2020. It was inaugurated by the then GO of the Douala 5, Mr. Fomele Matthias. And like this academic year went on, we started on the 5th of October, and everything went well till today.
Created in September 2020, St. Jerome Bilingual International School is located at the Lendi neighborhood in the Douala 5 municipality.
You're watching Prime News on My Major Prime. Death of a prolific artist, Wes Madiko, was announced on Friday, June 25, 2021. Before his death, he was a promoter of Bantu culture through his art. He has been described by many as a carrier of African message. The following report carries his life and death. Wes Madiko was born on the 15th of January 1964 in Wataba, about 100 miles away from the city of Douala. He was trained by his grandfather from the age of 2, and according to Wes during an interview, his grandfather taught him how to play the kalimba and also inculcated in him love for Bantu history and Bantu philosophy. He became conductor of Kwakwasi group at the age of 10. The group brought together talented teenagers from the village to collectively produce music. This talent of his caught the eyes of many, including foreign tourists, especially from France. After this appreciation, Wes set off for Europe. While in Europe, he carried out several works with prominent figures in the music field. He is best known among Western audience for his song In Upendi, a song from The Lion King 2 soundtrack, as well as work with Deep Forest and Alane produced by Sanchez Michel in 1997. He was recipient of several awards of recognition, amongst which was the award of a Diamond Record, first African artist to earn such recognition. He was also one of the first stars of the group Deep Forest to earn a Grammy Award. His death was announced on Friday, June 25, 2021. According to sources, he died during an operation following a nosocomial infection, leaving lovers of his music in shock. Apart from being a great musician of his time, he was a father, a husband, a writer, and a great orator. Let's now join Gladys Bomotongina for top African stories compiled in the French language.
Parti de la Libye dans la nuit de vendredi 26 juin 2021, 178 migrants ressortissants de divers pays, à savoir l'Égypte, la Tunisie, la Côte d'Ivoire, la Syrie, le Nigeria, le Bangladesh, le Mali et l'Éthiopie, ont été secourus par la marine tunisienne sur les eaux de la Méditerranée alors qu'ils tentaient de traverser pour se rendre en Europe. Selon les autorités de ce pays, 2 corps ont été retrouvés au large tunisienne lors des 3 dernières opérations de sauvetage. Il faut noter que c'est une pratique devenue récurrente pour la marine tunisienne car jeudi dernier encore, ils se sont retrouvés à secourir 267 migrants. En Côte d'Ivoire, l'ex-président Laurent Gbagbo a été accueilli de manière triomphale dans son village natal le dimanche 27 juin 2021 et ceci 10 jours après son retour à Abidjan. Une descente qui lui a permis d'ailleurs de se recueillir devant la tombe de sa mère décédée en 2014 alors qu'il était encore incarcéré. À l'est de la République démocratique du Congo, plus précisément à Beni, un civil et le transporteur d'une bombe ont perdu la vie dans une explosion, tandis que 2 autres personnes ont été blessées. Des 2 explosions ayant été enregistrées ce jour-là, dont l'une dans une église, le groupe islamique revendique être à l'origine d'une seule. Une situation créant donc encore plus d'embarras pour les populations qui sont appelées à plus de vigilance. En Ouganda, des centaines de personnes ont été arrêtées pour non-respect des mesures barrières au Covid-19 depuis quelques jours. En effet, l'une de ces mesures de restriction consistait à empêcher les personnes vendant sur les bordures de route de continuer à le faire. Ceux-ci, de leur côté, déplorent une situation de manque de nourriture, les poussant à continuer leur commerce ambulant. L'autre mesure consistait donc au respect du couvre-feu donné par les autorités, soit de 19h à 5h du matin, et ceci pendant 6 semaines.
Let's talk sports. Cameroon won next continental CAF competition, sent 4 representatives. This is thanks to a brilliant performance of Cotton Sport of Garoua during the ongoing CAF Confederation Cup tournament, despite the elimination of Cameroon Cup last Sunday by JS Kabylie in Algeria. Sportsman Henry Wana tells us more in the following report.
Cotton Sport of Garoua shall not represent Cameroon at the grand finale of the 2021 CAF Confederations Cup, following their retaliate 3-0 defeat in Algiers last Sunday, June 27, on a 5-1 aggregate loss to JS Kabylie owing to their 2-1 defeat at home. The healthy victory recorded by the boys of Denis Laven clearly indicates how short-sighted the technical bench of Cotton Sport of Garoua is for failing to have corrected their defense and attack mechanism errors which were visible on home soil. Nonetheless, Kabylie got off to the right start with an opener just 6 minutes into the clash through Boulaha's stroke with a neat low shot. They continued dominating the clash as they found the back of the net of Cotton Sport of Garoua twice again to impose their supremacy on the Garoua boys and clinch their ticket to the finale, where they shall wrestle with Raja Club Athletic on July 10 in Cotonou. Make no mistake to begin condemning the performance of Cotton Sport of Garoua at the semi-final stage, for it has once more opened the doors for Cameroon to have 4 representatives at different continental competitions in 2 years. For sure, the lessons have been learnt, though it would have been more sensational to see the Garoua boys play in the finale this year. Meanwhile, the senior indomitable Athletics Lions spent their weekend in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where they represented the fatherland in triple and long jump at the international making of champion tournaments. Despite the absence of Cameroon record man Raphael Ngangele, Mayak De, Kwemi Raymond and Yimra Apollinaire were all able to live to expectation in their respective domains.
Thanks, Henry Wana, for the sports update. See you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your time. And you were watching Prime News on my Major Prime Compiler, coordinated by Fifth Tata Bironyo, produced by Ewane Elainolinga. My name is Genda Pelgium Blanche King. Until we see you tomorrow at 6:30, God willing, stay tuned to my Major Prime at 7 p.m. Cameroon time. Prime, I will be live with Leonard. Happy viewing. Enjoy today's edition of the program, and good night.